going on, YouTube? Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Now, as it stands, of course, we've been getting this pounded. You can't cut on the TV right now without being bombarded with COVID-19 activity. Of course, this is a pandemic that is affecting many people around the world. It's starting to kind of hit close to home, as people that I know actually have friends who have had it, and it's starting to hit kind of close to home locally because a lot of the restaurants are going to go only business. It seems like the only business that's open is Kroger and other, grocery stores. Walmart, of course, is open, but this thing has had a very interesting economic effect on the United States as well as the rest of the world, and most obviously with the sports analysis that I do, college football. Okay, so the SEC making a very small step towards the possible continuation of college football has implemented kind of a chalk talk to where coaches can actually have media interaction with their football players. They can kind of start to show virtually through computer interaction their schematics, things of that nature. Now, that's a very small step because the ban right now for the SEC with any type of possible interaction is April the 15th. Now, that's real close. Very, very close in proximity time-wise. So depending on how things continue to transpire worldwide, especially, obviously, in the United States, it's quite possible that ban could be extended a little bit past April the 15th, just for the sake of assumptions. Now, why this is huge for Auburn? Well, number one, they have to replace the whole offensive line, and you got to start to have some level of communication to start to see who's catching on, who understands the schematics. The only issue is there's no level of physical activity that can take place during this particular time. This is just an effort for the SEC to actually have some type of X's and O type of contact between coaching staff and the players, especially for the new players. But Auburn is in a situation where replacing an entire offensive line is the daunting task. One thing about an offensive line is the fact that there's so many moving parts and so much chemistry that have to take place. I look back at the 2019 offensive line. Those guys individually weren't bad, actually. The issue was getting some type of chemistry, some type of congruency with the offensive line to where they could actually be effective. And by and large, they just weren't. In pass coverage, in certain situations, they weren't too bad. The rushing cover, the rush blocking, the run blocking was just not good. Okay. And I'm sorry, I meant pass protection, not pass coverage, pass protection. But the run blocking just was not good consistently. I thought that Auburn should have gone to more of a hurry up, no huddle to kind of loosen things up for the offensive line and maybe catch some defensive personnel out of position. But because of consistent penalties, things of that nature, the hurry up, no huddle, they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it to any degree of effectiveness or continuity, because you get a good drive going and all of a sudden you have a motion penalty. How many times did we see that last year? So that's where this doesn't necessarily help Auburn's cause there as far as producing chemistry, but it does show an effort on the part of the SEC to try to keep some type of level of communication going between the coaching staffs and their particular players. You talk about Bo Nix that is coming back. He's actually having to perform under another offensive coordinator in Chad Morris. This will be a good time for him to sit down and learn the X's and O's of Chad Morris's scheme. Also, for a time for the running backs to actually get a virtual look at what blocking schemes and what types of what type of blocking schemes to look for, what type of angles that Chad Morris would, plans on using in this particular season. Also, it gives kind of a bird's eye view of what even the tight end in this particular schematic might look like. Okay. Now, this is not to say one way or the other whether college football will or will not happen. None of us have the authority to make that type of assumption. Not even the great mighty Kirk Herbstreit, which, most of us have a lot of respect for. Sometimes we may even be annoyed by him. But either way, it's quite a few months away until college football. But this is a step that the SEC has made in bridging the gap communication-wise, because you definitely don't want that line of communication to go on for too long, because you got to remember, these are kids, guys. And the more you have interaction with them, the more they stay engaged. This is just an engagement tool until the SEC and college football and the nation can really figure out what's going on, because this thing is it has taken the nation definitely by storm. Again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and leave your comment, whatever it may be, how you feel about this pandemic, how you feel about this type of interaction between the coaches and the players to keep everyone safe, and what you feel about the possibility of the upcoming season. Like the video, comment, and subscribe. Click the bell so that you can be notified when Vernon Speaks Sports comes on. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger